I know absolutely nothing about Germany geography, so it should be quite interesting. By Navigating Geography YouTube channel.
Fact 50. The river that inspired one of Germany's most famous legends. Along the Rhine River near a steep slate cliff known as the Lorelei, one of Germany's most enduring legends was born. Rising around 132 meters above the water, the rock overlooks a narrow stretch of river where currents become dangerously strong. According to folklore, a siren-like figure would sit atop the cliff, singing and distracting sailors, causing ships to crash on the rocks below. Fact 49. Germany's car industry was shaped by its geography. Germany's world-famous car companies developed in regions defined by geography. From the forested, engineering-heavy south around Stuttgart, home to Mercedes-Benz and Porsche, to Bavaria, where BMW grew near Alpine terrain that demanded precision engineering. In the north, Volkswagen was built in Wolfsburg near major transport routes and flat terrain ideal for large-scale production. Fact.
Smart. I was gonna say, oh, they're lucky because of their geography, but there's plenty of country in Europe with geography like Germany, and they did not produce these cars, so...
48. The mountain peak that rarely sees clear sky. The Brocken, the Harz Mountain's highest peak at 1,141 meters, is the most fog-covered peak in Germany, shrouded in cloud or fog for over 300 days per year. Rising abruptly from the surrounding North German plain, it creates its own microclimate, endemic species, and folkloric traditions, including the legend of the Brocken specter, an optical phenomenon where a person's shadow is projected enormously onto surrounding clouds, observed here more reliably than almost anywhere else on Earth.
Whoa!
Fact 47. Germany has some of the highest attended football stadiums in the world.
Really?
Germany is home to some of the most attended football stadiums on the planet, with clubs like Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund regularly drawing around 70,000 to 80,000 fans per match.
Whoa!
The country's stadiums are built with steep stands and close pitch proximity, designed to maximize atmosphere rather than luxury. With average league...
I grew up in Canada, although soccer is not big in Canada. The stadium were maybe 25,000 from what I remember.
Attendances often exceeding 40,000 per game, the highest in Europe. German stadiums turn geography and design into one of the most intense sporting environments in the world. Fact 46. Islands that flood and people still live on them. The Halogen, tiny marsh islands in the Wadden Sea, flood during storm surges, leaving only the inhabited mounds called Wharften above water. There are 10 inhabited Halogen with a combined permanent population of under 300 people, living on mounds that sit just 3 to 5 meters above mean sea level in one of the most storm-exposed coastlines in Europe. The North Frisian coastline is one of Europe's most geographically dynamic, constantly reshaped by tides and storms. Fact 45. A forest that gives birth to one of Europe's greatest rivers. The Schwarzwald covers roughly 6,000 square kilometers of southwestern Germany, and it is where the Danube begins, originating from the Bregasch and Breg rivers before traveling 2,860 kilometers through 10 countries to the Black Sea. The Danube drains a basin of around 800,000 square kilometers, nearly the size of Egypt, and it all starts in a German forest. Fact 44. Germany's rain reaches 2 different oceans. Rain falling on one side of certain German ridges drains to the Rhine and exits at Rotterdam into the North Sea. Rain falling meters away drains to the Danube and exits at the Black Sea, over 2,500 kilometers in the opposite direction, through 10 countries. Germany's rainfall reaches 2 completely different seas depending on exactly where it lands. Fact 43. The river that became a Cold War border. The Elbe running through central Germany became a significant geographic reference during the Cold War, with sections of the east-west divide aligning with natural features like rivers and ridges. The border between East and West Germany stretched 1,393 kilometers and was reinforced with millions of landmines, 700 watchtowers, and over 45,000 troops, imposed across terrain that geography had already helped define. Fact 42. Over 1,500 breweries, all because of fragmented geography. For centuries, Germany was a patchwork of over 300 independent principalities, each with brewing traditions shaped by local water chemistry, grain, and climate. Today, Germany has approximately 1,500 active breweries producing over 5,000 distinct beer varieties, making it one of the most diverse brewing landscapes in the world. Fact 41. The valley that became Europe's industrial engine. The Ruhr Valley covers just 4,400 square kilometers. But at its industrial peak in the early 20th century, it produced the majority of Germany's coal and steel output, making it one of the most productive industrial regions in European history. Coal deposits sat directly beneath the valley floor. The Rhine provided water transport, and flat terrain enabled construction at scale. Fact 40. The plain that offers no defense. The North German plain stretches from the Netherlands to Poland, covering approximately 100,000 square kilometers with almost no elevation change. It has no major mountain barriers and very few natural obstacles, allowing armies, goods, and people to move across it with relative ease.
Wow, nice house.
Just a quick one. Would love it if you hit subscribe. Now back to Deutschland. Fact 39.
Whoa.
The gorge that took millions of years to form. Between Bingen and Koblenz, the Rhine cuts through a 65-kilometer gorge flanked by castle-topped ridges, formed as the river maintained its course while the surrounding...
In French, because I'm French-Canadian, a gorge is the throat. I don't know what it means in German.
Land gradually uplifted over millions of years. The gorge contains over 40 castles and fortresses along its banks, one of the highest concentrations of medieval fortifications along any river in Europe. Fact 38. Bavaria's glacial lakes are disappearing into their own history. Bavaria contains over 300 lakes formed by glacial activity during the last ice age. Lake Constance on Germany's southern border covers 536 square kilometers and holds approximately 48 billion cubic meters of water, making it the third largest lake in Central Europe and a critical freshwater resource for the region.
Damn, I know it's about geography, but Germany is so beautiful.
Fact 37. Germany crosses more climate zones than most continents. Germany spans several distinct climate influences within a relatively compact area of just 357,000 square kilometers. The northern coast is maritime, mild and wet, with average January temperatures around 0 to 3 degrees Celsius, while central regions experience more continental conditions with colder winters. In the south, Bavaria is influenced by the Alps, where snowfall can exceed 3 meters annually in higher elevations, and foehn winds can raise temperatures by up to 10 degrees Celsius within hours. Fact.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the heat has struck Europe this year, right? In late June, and it was a disaster. I feel like you guys are more worried about the hot than the cold, right?
36. The Bavarian landscape was sculpted by ice over 2 million years. Ice sheets advanced and retreated across southern Germany over hundreds of thousands of years, carving valleys, depositing moraines, and leaving behind over 300 lakes that define Bavaria today. During the last glaciation, glaciers extended far into the Alpine foreland, shaping terrain that now attracts millions of visitors annually. Fact 35. Geography built the foundation for Europe's largest economy. Germany's central position, dense river networks, and flat northern plains give it direct access to 9 neighboring countries and over 400 million consumers within a single day's transport radius. With a GDP of approximately 4.1 trillion US dollars, Germany is one of the largest economies in the world, supported by geographic connectivity that allows goods to move efficiently by road, rail, and inland waterways in every direction.
I think it's number 4 or 5 in the world. I think it passed Japan, I think, right? Because Japan is struggling right now. And it goes to show that you can have a geography and there's other country with nice geography. You need to be able to use what you have in your country. Just like the Netherlands, even though it's quite flat, they produce their own aeolian and their own electricity. And you do what you can with what God has given you, you know? And I think Germany is doing a good job for that.
Fact 34. 2 completely different seas, 1 country. Germany's northern edge touches the North Sea to the northwest and the Baltic Sea to the northeast. The North Sea has a tidal range of up to 3.7 meters along the German coast. The Baltic has almost no tidal movement at all, typically less than 30 centimeters, and is significantly less salty than the North Sea. 2 seas, 1 country, with fundamentally different conditions.
Whoa.
Fact 33. Wildlife is returning to Germany. After centuries of absence, Germany's forests and
What?
landscapes are seeing the return of species that once disappeared entirely. Wolves, extinct in the country for over 150 years, have made a comeback with over 150 packs now recorded,
What?
while Eurasian lynx populations are slowly re-establishing in several regions. With forests covering around 32% of the country, these recovering ecosystems are once again supporting large wildlife, showing how landscapes shaped by humans can still become habitats again.
They didn't go extinct. They either migrated or like forced migration when you take some animal and you bring to your country. It's probably that, right?
Fact 32. The valley that grows some of the world's most valuable wine. The Moselle Valley produces some of the most geographically
Moselle.
specialized wine in the world.
Oh,
South-facing slopes maximize sunlight, while the river reflects additional heat onto vineyards built on slate soils that retain warmth overnight. Some vineyards exceed 60%
Wow.
gradient, making mechanization impossible and requiring manual harvesting. A combination of geography and labor intensity that defines Moselle Riesling globally. Fact 31. Germany's highest mountain barely belongs to Germany. The Zugspitze at 2,962 meters straddles the border with Austria. On a clear day, the view stretches into 5 countries across a 250-kilometer radius. Germany's claim to Alpine geography exists almost entirely in that one border peak, and even that peak is shared. Fact 30.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Austria, it's a lot more mountainous, right, than Germany.
The Danube starts as a woodland spring and ends as a continental river. 2 streams, the Brigach and Breg, join near Donaueschingen in the Black Forest to form the Danube. From that woodland spring, the river travels 2,860 kilometers through Austria, Slovakia, Hungary, Croatia, Serbia, Romania, Bulgaria,
Wow.
Moldova, and Ukraine before reaching the Black Sea, passing through more national capitals than any other river on Earth. Fact 29. Without the Gulf Stream, Germany would be Siberian. Germany sits between 47 and 55 degrees north latitude, similar to regions in Canada where winter temperatures regularly fall below minus 30 degrees Celsius. Yet Germany's
Yes.
winters are far milder, largely due to the
Wow.
Gulf Stream transporting warm water from the tropics across the Atlantic. This ocean current stabilizes temperatures across Western Europe, demonstrating how the climate in Germany is shaped by forces operating thousands of kilometers away. Fact 28. Germany's forest line was once a military strategy. Large parts of Germany's dense forests, including
Wow.
regions like the Teutoburg forest, were
gorgeous.
historically left intact not just by nature, but by strategy. In 9 AD, this forest became the site of one of the most decisive ambushes in history, where Germanic tribes used the terrain to defeat 3 Roman legions. Fact 27. Germany's population is unevenly packed into a fraction of its land.
Yeah.
Germany has over 84 million people, but they are not spread evenly across the country. Large parts of the south and west are densely populated, while entire regions in the east have seen long-term population decline, with some towns losing over 20% of their residents since reunification. Fact
Isn't Berlin part of the East? I thought it would be very populated, no? But it makes sense. Every country, there's some area that are more populated. Especially when there's the countryside, there's going to be a lot less people. I live in Thailand countryside, right? And I don't have immediate neighbor. It's a lot of field and not a lot of people. When you go to the big city, where people want to find work and stuff like this, you're going to see a lot of people.
26. Berlin became a capital, despite its geography. Berlin sits on a flat glacial plain with sandy soils, no natural harbor, and only a modest river in the Spree, offering limited geographic advantages compared to most European capitals. Despite this, it grew into a major political and cultural center, driven more by historical and strategic decisions than by natural geographic positioning. Fact 25. Germany has active volcanic geology nobody talks about. The
Really?
Eifel Highlands contain the Glacier Sea, a volcanic crater lake 7 kilometers wide where carbon dioxide still bubbles from the floor today. The last major Glacier Sea eruption, approximately 13,000 years ago, was one of the largest volcanic events in European history, ejecting an estimated 6 cubic kilometers of material and depositing ash across an area from Scandinavia to northern Italy. Geologists classify the East Eifel volcanic field as potentially active today. Fact 24. The coastline most people drive past without stopping. The Wadden Sea along Germany's North Sea coast is the largest intertidal wetland system in the world, covering around 4,000 square kilometers within Germany alone. It supports over 10,000 species and serves as a critical stopover for more than 12 million migratory birds annually along the East Atlantic Flyway. Fact 23. Bavaria is geographically more Austrian than German. The Alps, the glacial lakes, the Föhn wind system, and the cultural landscape of Bavaria align far more closely with Austria than with Hamburg or Berlin. Bavaria covers 70,550 square kilometers, larger than Ireland, and has historically maintained its own distinct political identity, including its own monarchy until 1918. Fact.
But you know what? I see people in the comment every time that I react to Germany that says that Bavaria is not really Germany. I think it's important to embrace different culture or different part of your country. I think it makes you much stronger than weaker in diversity, but that's just my opinion.
22. Germany's most famous river is slowly tearing the country apart. The Upper Rhine Graben is an active continental rift zone where the Earth's crust is slowly stretching. The valley floor has subsided by up to 4,000 meters over the past 35 million years, while the Black Forest and France's Vosges mountains rose on either side, creating a rift valley 300 kilometers long and up to 40 kilometers wide, running directly through the center of Western Germany. Fact 21. Hamburg became global because of where the tide stopped. Hamburg sits approximately 100 kilometers inland, yet handles over 8 million shipping containers annually, making it one of Europe's largest ports. Its location at the furthest reach of tidal influence on the Elbe River created a natural transfer point between ocean-going vessels and inland trade routes, allowing it to function as a global port despite being far from the open sea. Fact 20. The city that sank into the ground. In Staufen and Breisgau, a geothermal drilling project in 2007 triggered a chemical reaction underground, causing the earth beneath the town to slowly expand. Over the following years, buildings began cracking as the ground lifted centimeter by centimeter, turning the entire town into a real-world example of how geology can unexpectedly reshape a city. Fact 19.
Oh no! What is
Germany's
that?
soil varies more than most continents. Germany contains over 60 distinct soil types within its 357,000 square kilometers, ranging from sandy glacial soils in the north to fertile loess in central regions and volcanic soils in the Eifel. This diversity supports a wide range of agriculture, from large-scale grain production to specialized vineyards, directly linking geology to economic output.
It makes sense. Earlier you said that like big part of Germany don't have a lot of people. Well, if you have agriculture like this, you're not gonna have a lot of people living there.
Fact 18. Islands that are disappearing into the sea. Several smaller North Frisian islands have already disappeared entirely within recorded history. The island of Strand was destroyed by a single storm surge in 1634.
Isn't Frisian where they have the amazing tea?
Uprooting the lives of thousands and splitting what remained into the modern islands of Nordstrand and Pellworm. Fact 17. The landscape that looks like it belongs on another continent. Saxon Switzerland in eastern Germany contains towering sandstone pillars, deep gorges, and flat-topped mesas carved from ancient seabed sandstone, deposited 90 million years ago when the region sat beneath a shallow tropical sea. The formations rise up to 561 meters above the Elbe River, a landscape so dramatically out of place in Central Europe that it consistently stops people who encounter it for the first time. Fact 16. Germany is the hydrological hub of an entire continent. Through the Rhine-Main-Danube Canal, completed in 1992, it is possible to travel by inland waterway from Rotterdam on the North Sea to Sulina on the Black Sea. 3,500 kilometers of navigable water passing through or connected to German river systems, crossing 15 countries. Germany didn't just sit at the center of Europe. Fact 15.
Oh my god!
The underground salt caverns beneath northern Germany. Enormous salt deposits beneath northern Germany, some over 250 million years old, left by ancient evaporated seas, form cavern systems holding an estimated 25 billion cubic meters of natural gas in storage.
Can you lick the wall? I'm gonna say something stupid. Sorry.
Germany uses these geological formations as the largest underground gas storage system in Western Europe, a geographic asset that became one of the most politically consequential energy facts in Europe in recent years. Fact 14. The geographic center of Europe's largest economy is a quiet forest. The centroid of Germany's territory falls in the Thuringian forest near Niederdorla, dense woodland, unremarkable terrain, far from any major city. A monument marks the exact spot. It receives almost no visitors. The geographic heart of Europe's largest economy is a quiet forest with no particular reason to be famous. Fact 13. Rivers drew Europe's most consequential modern border. The Oder and Neisse rivers, forming Germany's current eastern border with Poland, were established as the post-war boundary in 1945. The border shift moved Germany's eastern boundary approximately 200 kilometers westward, transferring territory containing over 12 million ethnic Germans who were subsequently expelled westward in the largest forced population movement in European history.
I know that Germany had water, but you have so many important rivers? There's so much lore around your river?
Fact 12. Germany has 52 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Germany
Wow.
has 52 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, ONVE of the highest totals globally, including river landscapes, ancient forests, fossil sites, and cultural landmarks shaped by geography.
Whoa.
Fact 11. The summit that experiences Arctic conditions in Central Europe. The Zugspitze records snow cover for over 300 days per year and receives over 2,000 millimeters of precipitation annually.
Wow.
Its summit experiences wind speeds exceeding 200 kilometers per hour during major storm events, conditions comparable to Arctic weather stations. While Munich, just 85 kilometers away at 520 meters elevation, experiences a completely different climate on the same day. Fact 10. Fractured geography changed its religious history. Germany's fragmentation into over 300 independent principalities was reinforced by geography, where rivers, forests, and varied terrain limited central control. This decentralization...
Do you have snow apart from all of those big mountainous regions, like in a random city in Berlin or something? Are you gonna have like snow? Or it's really specific to the mountain? I have no idea, to be honest. In Canada, we have snow. Doesn't matter where, everywhere.
Played a key role in allowing the Reformation to spread after 1517, as no single authority could enforce religious uniformity across such a fragmented landscape. Fact 9. Germany generates a large share of its power from renewables. Germany is one of the world's leaders in renewable energy, with around 50% of its electricity now coming from sources like wind, solar,
Oh
and
wow,
biomass.
50%?
On particularly windy or sunny days, that number can rise even higher, at times exceeding 70% of total electricity generation. Fact 8. The most documented glacier retreat on Earth. The Bavarian Alps glaciers have been continuously photographed and measured since the 19th century. The Zugspitze glaciers have been monitored since 1879, providing a 145-year continuous record of retreat that represents one of the longest and most precise climate measurements of any geographic feature in the world. The visual comparison between 19th century photographs and today is among the most striking evidence of climate-driven geographic change anywhere in Europe. Fact 7. Germany is actively rebuilding its forests for the future.
Rebuilding?
Germany is replanting and reshaping its forests on a massive scale, with millions of trees being planted each year to replace damaged areas. Instead of restoring old monocultures, new forests are being designed with mixed species to improve resilience against drought, pests, and climate change. With over 11 million hectares of forest already, covering around 32% of the country, Germany is turning a moment of crisis into one of the largest forest transformation efforts in Europe. Fact 6. 3 geological worlds compressed into one country.
Oh my
The
god,
Alps
that's
in
a
the
real
south,
bridge?
The Rhenish Massif and central uplands in the middle, and the North German Plain in the north represent 3 completely distinct geological provinces. The oldest rocks in Germany, Precambrian formations in the Bavarian forest and Erzgebirge, are over 600 million years old. The youngest landscapes, the North Sea tidal flats, are still forming today. Fact 5. The river that carries more freight than any road. The Rhine enters Germany from Switzerland, flows north for over 800 kilometers, and carries approximately 80 million tons of freight annually, making it one of Europe's busiest inland shipping routes. Germany's industrial heartland didn't develop randomly. It developed along the Rhine because the river made large-scale transport far more efficient than any alternative. Fact 4. The famous Autobahn network. Germany's Autobahn network spans over 13,000 kilometers, making it one of the largest motorway systems in the world. Built to connect major cities, industrial regions, and neighboring countries, the network reflects Germany's need to function as a central transit hub within Europe, facilitating high volumes of cross-border movement.
It's working, the Autobahn, because I've never heard the news that says, oh, so many people die because there's no speed limit, right? So I guess you're doing something right. I don't know why other countries are not following suit. I'm guessing that it's certain area of the superhighway only, right? It's not like free for all everywhere, you know?
Fact 3. The bridge that connects two continents of traffic. In Germany, the Magdeburg water bridge carries ships over a river, a 918-meter-long aqueduct that allows vessels to cross above the Elbe without descending into it. Completed in 2003, it is the longest navigable aqueduct in the world, moving thousands of tons of cargo across a bridge filled with water. Instead of roads crossing rivers in this case, the river crosses the river, turning geography into engineering in one of the most unusual ways possible.
Yeah, it feels like such an important country because I feel like you're dead in the middle of Europe, right? So you're transporting stuff from east to west Europe to maybe to Africa, to Asia, to Turkey. So you have a lot of different routes in Germany.
Fact 2. The wall that once divided Germany became a canvas for unity.
I like this.
The Berlin Wall once stretched over 155 kilometers, separating East and West Berlin for nearly 3 decades. Today, sections of it, like the East Side Gallery, have been transformed into one of the longest open-air art galleries in the world, featuring over 100 murals by artists from across the globe.
Wow.
Fact 1. Germany built its architecture around its landscape. Across Germany, architecture changes dramatically depending on the terrain, from steep-roofed Alpine houses designed to shed meters of snow, to timber-framed Fachwerk homes built using local wood and clay in forested regions. In the north, brick Gothic structures dominate where stone is scarce, while river valleys shaped entire towns around narrow streets and flood-aware construction.
This last fact resumes really well why Germany is doing so well. Germany is not trying to change nature. Germany is working with what God has given them and doing amazing. And to be fair, even when Germany were the bad guy, they were doing very good technologically, right? And just a continuation of that. So you guys are always going to be okay. I know that you have your problem and there's a lot of people complaining these days, but I think you're pretty smart. The German people are quite smart. So you're going to be fine.